It turns out the men's rights advocates are just a bunch of fear-mongering women. Welcome, guys. It's a Mids Watch. It's been a while since I've done one of these ones. We're in the final stretch. If you've been sticking it out for the last 109 episodes, kudos to you. It's fairly simple. It's just a guy, he was asking about, what do you wish you knew before your divorce? There's some details in it, but it's not super important. The big part about this is our take on it. So like Jack Ten of Hearts did like a nice little thing where he kind of got the ball rolling on what is eventually going to be called the Better Beta Divorce Guide. It's this married red pill idea of how to handle yourself through a divorce. It's not legal advice, it's more legal strategy and the way to approach these things. It really does hint on some good things. And so there's some parts that we're gonna have to quote from the original one that'll help it make sense. I'll quote it there. But just know, everything you've heard about guys going through the divorce process is a lie at worst, and at best, it's a guy who thinks that his values and his ethics matter in a court of law. So it really is a case of like, use your effing head. So starts off, what do you wish you knew before your divorce? Yo, Jack Ten of Hearts comes in, divorce guy here. And the guy said that he was worried he was gonna have to pay $1,100 a month in alimony for 8 years. He goes, okay, so look, I Googled some stuff from the Illinois divorce law, and this makes no sense. Illinois standardized alimony calculations in January 2015, and here's the example I saw. Assuming the soon-to-be ex-husband grosses $50,000 a year and the wife earns $30,000, therefore the husband in this case only owes his wife $2,000 per year under this form. For example, for a marriage that lasted 5 years, the maintenance award would continue for 20% of that span, or 1 year. And there's a link to it, which it's not really important. You can look it up yourself if you want. If you're in Illinois and going through a divorce, you should probably already know this, so whatever. But that's the point here, right? You see this, everybody assumes the sky is falling, but if you start reading the manual, you'd be amazed what you can find out. Anyways, back to this. Note that this example is not an apples to apples example to yours, but I have no idea where you got $1,100 a month for 8 years for alimony. It seems like it would be more like $250 a month for 2.5 years. And yeah, there's child support, except for, in the same link I provided, they noted that the law makes the following changes in addition to the formula. It specifies that judges must subtract maintenance payments from the payer's income for the purposes of calculating child support. So whatever you pay in alimony, you'll have to pay her proportionally less in child support anyway. Who the fuck knows though? I'm not a lawyer. I'm just some asshole that spent 30 seconds reading a web page that came up when I Googled Illinois divorce law alimony. And I'm just copy and pasting this shit saying, take a breath, calm the fuck down. Financially, your divorce will probably be an enema, not an ass rape. It'll be ugly, it'll be uncomfortable, it'll be unpleasant, something you wish you didn't have to go through, and something you could get over as quickly as possible. But it's unlikely to financially ruin you or scar you permanently, and afterwards you'll feel a lot lighter and a lot happier. Like, it's just money, dude. You seem financially responsible, and it sounds like you've really grinded at your professional life to get where you are. You should absolutely get the best financial and custodial outcome for yourself. But I'm just saying, this will be a pretty annoying process if you're probably alternatively seized with anxiety or resentment. So take a deep breath, remain calm, talk to your lawyer, and remember, it's just fucking money, dude.
I've talked to Ryan Stone once. I'm pretty sure the whole conversation, I pushed him like pretty hard.
What was hard, Ariel?
The therapist will essentially give them SSRIs, which I think the sexual effects that SSRIs have on the body, right?
Some. There's tons of like MAOs and like tricyclics that you're talking about, like the type of SSRIs that used to be given to pedophiles. We don't give those to men. We don't give those to men. But he's not as informed as like I think he would like to be. Yeah.
So the guy, again, it's a very common question a lot of people ask in these divorce ones. So if I can get 50-50 custody of the kids, shouldn't that reduce the child support I owe her? He goes, yeah. If you have a shared parenting plan that shows you can supervise or have arrangements for supervision, daycare, your parents, whatever, for your kids half the time, you'll probably get it. It's not the 1970s, and judges don't give a shit about vaginas. Men typically get less custody on average because A, They can't actually make arrangements to supervise their kids for half the time. B, they don't actually want that much custody. You know, my son lives with me when he's off from school in the summer, lives with his mom during the school year. C, they're a beta loser who let their ex-wives guilt trip them into a bullshit separation agreement. And D, they've disputed their separation agreement all the way to a court hearing, but the guy did not get appropriate legal counsel and the judge ruled on his wife's proposed agreement by default. Seriously, you will not get fucked if you do not let yourself get fucked. Remember that. Again, he's quoting the guy here. He's like, I'm shooting to come up with a plan and then do mediation and have our own lawyers double check the arrangement. Wife and I still have a decent relationship and she thinks like she's going to work with me. Now, I get what you're trying to do. Avoid you and your wife hiring lawyers that will encourage you to endlessly litigate your assets to zero, but based on a general negotiation theory, this is not a good idea. Submitting something for mediation means you're going to have to pre-compromise. Submitting something with compromises you've anticipated but may not be required. So you'll be negotiating against yourself first and then negotiating in mediation. My ex-wife and I retained our own lawyers, which cost more in the short run but actually resulted in a cleaner agreement, in my opinion. You'll see her proposal and she'll see yours and you both go, yeah, no way. And then you'll start horse trading. Shit like who gets to declare the kids as a tax deduction, for example. So another quote from the guy is like, maybe I can trade her the marital assets to avoid alimony. Now that's something you seem eager to do. She, in turn, may be eager for that trade. You also seem eager to reduce your reoccurring payments. So in other words, you could offer that, the equity in your house or whatever, in return for something that reduces your long-term reoccurring outlays. If you go to mediation, this negotiation may not happen. You may have stupidly pre-compromised that you split the equity in the house, and since that sounds cosmetically fair, any more creative negotiation opportunities are lost. Now, negotiations aren't necessarily zero-sum. For example, if I have a $20 Starbucks gift card and I hate coffee, and you have $15 in cash and we trade, who wins? We both did, right? I valued cash, you valued coffee. You're both coming up with your own separation agreement proposals that will bring these opportunities to the forefront because it will make you both think long and hard about what you actually want versus what you're okay letting go. So if you communicate with your lawyers in an organized and consistent manner, then you won't end up with huge legal bills. And seriously, there's not really much money at stake that any lawyer is going to try and psychologically manipulate you just to drive up your legal bills. They will just want a streamlined experience as much as you do so they can focus their billable hours on the rich fuckers. The guy ends his post with just like a simple, like, give me your thoughts. I feel super outgunned and I fear I'm about to get, divorce raped and then shackled. Again, not a lawyer. This is not legal advice, but this is the most moderate opinion you're going to get in any red pill subreddit about divorce, which means log the fuck off of Reddit, get off the internet and focus on getting the best legal and personal outcome for yourself. And a bunch of hysterical red pillars whining about the US legal system favoring women or some bullshit is not helping. Remember, you will not get fucked if you do not let yourself get fucked. If you only want a 30-second enema instead of a 10-year ass raping in prison, then that's entirely within your control, so get off Reddit, don't get fucked, and best of luck. Best of luck. So this is back to me now. This is crude, this is old, this is like 10 years ago. We've actually come a long way since then, but he's not wrong. So it turns out the MRAs, I'm sure you guys have seen it, men's rights advocates, there's like the Honey Badgers, there's Karen Strawn, there's Paul Elam, there's a whole bunch of them around. And it's funny because they kind of got their start with people like Herb Goldberg and, what was her name? Esther Villar, which they bought into the feminism thing. Like, oh, feminism, that's great. How come, where's my equality? And then they got kind of lost in the jumble. And so they tended to act just like feminists. Got invaded by women. A lot of guys left that movement, started MGTOW, guys going their own way, which turns out it wasn't, I'm leaving marriage forever. It was men's rights advocates who left to go their own way because they were tired of women taking over their movement. So you can see how well it went already. Didn't go so hot. But from a legal perspective, yeah, it's a really good example why men and women are not the same, and you really do need to understand. Like I talk about this in my book Frame, Praxeology Volume 2, where your emotional pillar is built on you understanding the nature of the difference between men and women, understanding your human failings, understanding your wife's human failings, and making more realistic decisions that aren't bet on some utopian fantasy of the way people should act. So in this case, and as a great idea he talked about here was, instead of pre-negotiation through mediation, it might be worth to get a lawyer up in advance and really focus on what you want. I'll give you an example before we end this one off. One of the guys was doing a divorce. I can't remember how long ago it was forever. But the idea was the wife really wanted custody. So what he ended up doing is he was looking at, okay, so what does custody mean for her? And his was simple. They both live in the same neighborhood now. And he was going, you get him 5 days a week. You know, the school day, have them all during the school day. I just want them on the weekends. And the wife was fine with that. And she treated it. And then he used that, since she liked it, as his negotiation thing and he gave her some equity out of the house, like the equity of the house. He went and rented his own place, but got off the hook with child support payments, that sort of thing, other than the important things. Either way, it looked like she was winning. She got custody of the kids like 80-90% of the time. But the way he saw it was a win. He goes, yeah, the kids wake up in the morning, they get breakfast, they go to school, they come back from school, they have to do homework. You essentially get them for 2 hours a day. Meanwhile, I get them for holidays and weekends and all that just parenting time, 24/7, 365. I actually got more out of it. And yeah, she got the equity of the house, but now I don't have any payments. My cash flow is great. I can afford to do great things with the kids and have fun. It's a win-win scenario. Now, the other thing we found out about this one, again, separate divorce, military guy. He wanted to leave his wife and he was doing the same custody thing. I should maybe start fighting this in court, blah, blah, blah. And for me, it was just, I flat out told him, I'm like, look, well, you're in the military. There is a official policy that as long as you're employable, you're deployable. No judge in his right mind is going to give you custody so long as you have a chance of being deployed at a moment's notice, even if the chance is slim. So he goes, you have to make your decision. Like, what's more important to you? At the time, he was a lieutenant commander, so 2.5 bars. It's a pretty big deal. One more half bar, you get to run your own ship, right? And I'm like, you get to pick. If you leave your military career, get a civilian job, you can absolutely do this, which he could. And he's like, you know what? I've been doing this for like 22 years. I've earned my spot. I kind of want to keep it. It's like, great. So now you know custody is off the table for you, but your wife doesn't know that. So you can use that as a negotiation. And he did that. He's like, look, I'm not going to fight you on custody. You get it all. I get, the kids can visit me whenever they want to, that sort of thing. No alienation. And she had a good job herself. She was a doctor. So we got out of like any payments whatsoever. She basically got the kids and to walk away and took the house. Win-win. So this is one of those things, as a guy, it's really hard to impart on them, is that because like everybody's fear-mongering. The men's rights advocates are talking about how you're just going to get screwed over in court. And don't get me wrong, there is some legitimate grievances out there, but they are known. They are known, and so that they are known, you know how to avoid them. A lot of it is just not making decisions that the court will see and carry on through. I'll end on this. Very easy example, child support, right? If, while you're separated, the wife has the kids, you leave the house, and you just go live your life, and then you fight with the courts for custody, the courts are going to look at that and go, okay, well, you decided to help pay for the kids and then give the wife custody, we're going to carry that over. So if you want custody of your kids, the best way to get that is to have custody with your kids. Have an arrangement before you even go to court where you're managing the kids halfway through the time. You're the contact for emergencies at the hospital or at the school. You're actually doing the parenting stuff. So when it comes to the court, it's much easier for them to say, well, this plan you already have now is working. Let's just carry over with what it is. But the problem with that is guys have to be deliberate and they can't be gaslit by their women. So take that for what it's worth. I know this is a very, very surface level dive into this, which is, it should be. I don't think you really want an in-depth legal analysis on the effing mids watch, but just keep that in mind and realize, like, if it's over, and this is good for two, any guys just running dread in their relationships at all, when it ends, or if it ends, it's not the end of the world. You just got to plan for it and plan for what you want. So enjoy yourselves. I'll catch you on the next episode. Cheers.